grab your drink and sit down. Listen to the podcast of the strange, the old, the pagan, and the Christian overcoming evil. This is the Grizzly Files podcast.
Oh, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Grizzly Files podcast. Give me some slack, guys. This is the 5th episode. I'm running a little behind. We're getting ready to move. My brain's fried. My children are crazy.
And I ran out of wine.
We're still out of wine, and we have not rectified it. So I'm making do with some iced coffee. Wife has already consumed hers. She was lazy, let me clean, and she slept on the couch. Now she helped eventually.
This is payback from yesterday.
Payback.
All that stress and stress pooping and all that. Okay.
Stress pooping. My wife always shares too much information. Now I'll let you figure out who was stress pooping. Maybe it was the cat.
TMI.
Maybe it was
there's
the dog.
more information.
Oh my gosh! Oh.
What's more where that came from?
That's disturbing. Anyway, now that you're here for the creepy things and the whatnot,
Including the poop.
I don't think you were here for the poop, but
Some poop is creepy.
if you are here for the poop, please leave. This is going to be an interesting episode. My brain could work. Wife, don't you leave. I'll slap you. I don't need any more ammunition here. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we accidentally just skyrocketed forward there. But yes, welcome. Today we have a very... Shut up. Shut up.
Better than shutting down.
I'm just going to sit here and make her recover from that on her own now. Nope. We're losing her. That's okay. We'll move on. Today, we are going to talk about a very fascinating topic. Obviously, I think all the topics are fascinating because I picked them. Oh, my goodness. We're too tired for this.
So painful.
But today we're going to be talking about, and I think I'm going to make this kind of a short mini series. You say, what did you say? We talk about Satanism. No, we talked about Satanism last time. I said I wasn't going to make every episode about Satanism. This is tangentially related. And so today I want to go back to the original episode. If you remember Wendigos, and the original Wendigos were giant demon freaks. Well, we're going to bring in
giant horses.
another Native American tribe and their stories, which were very fascinating about all sorts of subjects.
The Hopi.
The Hopi. I think Hopi? I mean, it's spelled Hopi, so meow yourself, you butt. Well, I guess the cat is joining us because he likes the Hopi. He likes the mesas and the stucco buildings and stuff. If you don't know, the Hopi were the guys who built all those funky stacked buildings on the side of the mesa, the stuff in Arizona, all that, right? They built their houses like
and rocks
along the wall and up the wall. Good times. They also did a lot of subterranean stuff. and you know, if I wasn't so tired, I'd make that sound a little more, I don't know, professional's not the right word, but reliable. I'd go with reliable. Right now, I don't sound too reliable. It's like, you walk into a history class and you see the guy like drunk on the floor trying to teach you about the particulars of Operation Barbarossa. You might not believe him, but maybe you should. Maybe you can only understand Russian history when you're drunk.
You have to be drunk.
It's designed to be a vodka spill. But you know what's not designed to be drunk? The Hopi tribe. I think.
In chocolate.
Oh no! I did. What time is it? When did we start?
It's like only been 5 minutes. I mean, seriously, you have a timer right here.
I didn't start it. Put a timer on your phone. No, you're making
4 minutes. I was right. I was like, okay, I was
Oh.
very close to
But
5 minutes.
So you know, wife.
I already get it.
Every time you mess with it, there's a huge bump that starts on the recording. Like,
Yeah, because you put on the metal music thing.
What else am I supposed to put it on? It's not like we have a professional studio, wife. Do you have one in your back pocket that I don't know about?
If I did, it would be set on.
Probably going to have to cut that all out. If I left it all in, I don't apologize. So, oh my gosh. Yes, my. Okay. So, I know you're all wondering, what do guys building their stuff into the side of big old cliff faces and all the rest, what do they have to do with the giants and wendigos and stuff like that? Well,
short people can't climb up.
Wow. I don't apologize for that either. So, the Hopi tribe have a very interesting story about how the world came to be, or more importantly, in this case, how their people came to be on the Arizona plateau ain't the right word. It's not like the steeps, the desert, whatever you want to call it, canyons. And it basically goes like this. In their story, and there may be what did I say that was funny? No one's gonna understand why you're laughing. Sacagawea. Oh my god, you had too much coffee. Someone save me. This woman's had too much coffee. You're referencing the night at the museum.
No.
They can't say Sacagawea.
No, I didn't even.
Sacagawea.
I wasn't even
Sacagawea. Sacagawea and Wea. Yes. The Indians were warning us about the Jews long ago.
Why nobody could find her? Because the giant sat her.
Interesting.
I'm so sorry.
We're way into the weeds.
It was a lot. Yeah.
I'm just gonna sack a Jew and keep moving. So, when the Hopi believe, or well, their story believes, who knows how many of them believe it right these days, if any of them were left. I can't remember if the Hopi were all wiped out or if that was another tribe. I'm all over the place, but the point is, I'm pretty sure there's still some of them around. In this story, this world is the third world. The first creation was destroyed in fire.
Oh, that third world.
Mm-hmm. The second creation was destroyed in ice, like you get the point, like a super ice age. The first one was like a super fire age. This was super ice age, and they were able to survive both of these endeavors by, surprisingly, a story that's very reminiscent of the Israelis' trek across the desert. Remember, what did they do? They followed a pillar of clouds and pillar of fire. A pillar of clouds during the day, right, when they're going through the desert, and at night they followed a pillar of fire. Well, similarly, the Hopi had a story, which is interesting since they didn't have any connection to the Israelis, supposedly, that they followed during these time periods of cataclysm and world destruction. They followed a strange cloud during the day, and at night.
Smart. Sorry.
I just established some biblical concepts there, wife, so you might be careful there. And pillar of fire is a little more interesting to follow, to be fair. And at night, though, they said they followed a moving star, which, what else has star imagery? Really? Mm-hmm. You're not going to answer the question. You're just going to go, We'll assume she recognizes the Star of David or the star over Jesus Christ when he was born that the Magi follow. Interesting. Plus, star imagery in cultures everywhere and in the Bible, particularly, specifically in the Bible, reference godlike beings. And in the Bible, they very specifically reference God's counsel, God's angels, God's whatever you want to call the beings up in heaven, and all their different levels and craziness, right? Stars, they're often referred to as stars. The devil's referred to as a falling star, all kinds of stuff, right? So, right off the bat, we have references and concepts that can connect to stories and civilizations that really shouldn't have a connection, but they're having very similar sounding rhetoric and all the rest, narratives and themes. So the star and the cloud eventually leave. Why would you do that to me? The Cars movie? Really? Why do I know what you were referencing to? No, I'm gonna drink some coffee.
Don't, it'll make it worse.
I didn't have any. We don't have an excuse. We didn't have children when that movie came out. Oh my god. Anyway, so
they have 3 of them.
I don't even like that movie that much. The first one was okay. I never watched it. I could never get through any of the other ones. What kind of? I mean, on a side note, since we're speaking of catalysms, I saw a theory online that I agree with. That seems quite logical. That in the car universe, all humanity has been wiped out, and cars have taken over.
Especially the electric cars.
Yes, we can only hope that it wasn't a violent takeover, unless the natural.
That's when the cars go rogue and run over the
just kill
owners.
everyone. Yep. Anyway.
Suffocated by a tire.
Oh my god. Wouldn't
So
crushing
tiring.
be a little easier for a car? Anyway,
I think it'd be fresher.
Back to the not car apocalypse, the fire and the ice apocalypse. The star and the cloud lead the most virtuous of the Hopi people to, I didn't write his name down. Some thunder god with a really weird name, like Satakakako or something. You know how a lot of these tribes.
Zap of lightning sounds like? It was raining one night, and they heard that. We'll name him after that.
Yeah,
he was born during a thunderstorm.
Those Mexican tribes and the tribes in like Arizona, so they always have these long names like Quitasako and Montezuma and Montezuma's Revenge. And oh no, we brought poop back into this.
Is that what the revenge was about?
It's diarrhea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slap you.
Diarrhea.
I'm just gonna read my notes and pretend I didn't hear that. So, now, this thunder god takes the Hopi people that have survived to. This is the part where I think a lot of people are gonna check out, and that's okay because it gets a little wacky.
If they haven't already checked
out. It's a little wacky to the ant people who live underground. Ooh. It's just funny. When I first read that, I kind of like my eyebrow raised. I'm like, oh, the ant people. That live underground, you say? It does sound like something you'd hear in an asylum, like an actual asylum where actual crazy people were, not the. Another story that comes to mind. I should bring up. I should save that.
Save it.
What? There was a bodybuilder who was crazy, but he was so strong and wild. When he got out, he killed dogs with his bare hand, like full-grown shepherds. He ripped apart, like he ripped off their heads and stuff.
So he's like a modern day Samson.
And like his stuff, he went so crazy. He did this in front of a bunch of reporters and stuff. And somehow the story got twisted to it was a werewolf doing it, which is crazy. Huh. But it goes into why you should look into stories and stuff. But I mean, I probably did spoilers for a future episode of making sure you do your due diligence and what you believe and what you don't believe and all the rest. And then, all the skeptics will take that out of context and go, oh, that means you shouldn't believe any of it. And I just just shut up. you're a weirdo. No one likes you. Take a shower. Probably take 2. And shave your neck beard. Nobody likes it. Also, fedoras are no longer cool, and it's your fault. All right. Now that we've squashed the balls of every atheist in a 12-mile radius, let us continue.
Can we expand that radius?
I was really afraid you were going to say expand the balls or something, and I was like, I don't. Bad imagery.
Why would
I don't know, okay? You're the one that used the word expand and balls in same context.
I did say balls!
Context involved balls. I'm going... Okay, guys, I promise, okay? We're going to bring this back around. I know right now it's getting weird. Some of you have already made some connections, though. I know some of you have, right? So... Ant people, underground, right? Big one though, underground, and they survive out the multiple cataclysms underground. And the ant people give them technology, and they teach them how to survive and how to store up stuff over winter. And they're seen as these very nice, industrious people. Blah 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 blah. Eventually, the ant people deposit them back onto the surface and go away. And go back underground.
So they poop them out and then go back.
And that's how the Hopi people thought they ended up there, because of the ant people and the thunder god's name that I can't pronounce. And you say, what does this have to do with giants? Well, first of all, interesting little thing here. We'll start with this one.
The giant squished the ant and became a giant.
Yeah. No. No! So, the word for ant in ancient Hopi was pronounced Anu. The word for friend was, Naki. And what do you do when you put those 2 words together for ant friends? First of all, if you have ant friends, you need a date, you need a life. But in this case, ant friends, you would say Anunnaki. Anunnaki. Now, a lot of you are instantly like pointing at the screen, doing the full meme right now, going, oh yeah, like I did. And then there's a whole percentage of you going, what are you trying to say? Anunnaki, great. Ant friends and Hopi. I'm glad. I'm happy for your ant friends.
And I'm like, Yakisaki.
But if you don't know, the Anunnaki are essentially the great heroes and giants, if you will, in the Sumerian and Babylonian stories and epics, Gilgamesh and all this other stuff. And basically, they were supposed to have been descendants of gods who brought technology and mixed with mankind and created lots of heroes and all this other stuff. It came from the sky. Remember the star bit we were talking about?
This wasn't a good star.
No, I mean, the Babylonians thought they were good stars, but in the Bible, they were seen as fallen angels, fallen demons, and all the rest, right? Who were
making sure I'm following along, because there was a lot of distractions.
Right. And right, so the Anunnaki, you'll find references to them being evil and all the rest throughout the Bible, especially when dealing with the Babylonians. And they're seen as fallen angels, rebellious members of the Lord's court who tried to take the earth from God. They being stars in reference, right? Remember the star imagery that we talked about? The star following it to the thunder god, and the thunder god takes them to these people who give them technology and are underground.
Just like I said, that was a bad idea.
Yeah. Now, the fact that the ant people are underground, we have a whole nother connection.
Oh, no.
Because if we follow the book of Enoch and the book of the Bibles...
You're going to bring tunnels.
No, we'll get there. The Bible, the fallen angels are imprisoned underground in a place called Sheol, the underground, the hell escape. Not quite hell yet. Hellfire is a little different, or maybe it's just deeper. Who knows? And so we have an interesting idea here that we have humans surviving cataclysms by following stars to an underground abode where they're given technology by these wonderful beings who sound a lot like the Anunnaki, who are the the heroic or godlike beings that come from the stars in Babylonian context, and give the Babylonians and their ancestors, Sumerians, and all the rest, the technology and everything that they used to kind of conquer a known world around them. That is a lot of connections and coincidence for two civilizations that supposedly had no contact whatsoever. And I mean, there's, as far as I know, besides certain unconfirmed reports, there's no Babylonian Babylonian artifacts in the Americas. Well, I've heard rumor of Egyptian and I don't know why I said it that way. Egyptian, but ancient Egyptian artifacts.
I know this is
the
not
Smithsonian
Irish coffee I made, but
woo! You can't see my hand motions, but my wife can, and she's very confused. The Smithsonian wife, yes, just whisk them away. So,
yep.
How does this play back into Giants? I mean, a lot of you should have already paid attention to that. Smithy,
Sorry.
or Smith, if you will. But right.
Oh no, I'm becoming conspiratorial. It's so in their name.
Gosh. By the way, the Anunnaki have funny visual connections to the Pope because the Anunnaki are often displayed with funky fish hats and things, and like their priests had like fish hats that look exactly like the Pope's hat. Yeah, I remember the fish hats. We brought that up ages ago in a stream in a different channel a world away. The fish hats! Yes, the one and the same. Now, one of the articles I read brought up this concept that if you bring up some of the features that some of the Anunnaki, not all, but a lot of them were said to have, the classic kind of alien elongated skull, bigger eyes, some stuff on their face, you could say, maybe a weird tribe person would go, that's an ant in human form. Oh, it is. My baby. Oh. Okay, and we're back, and our baby's here now. If she cries, it's all your fault, and I will come after you, whoever you are. Anyway, so, right, brother Anunnaki fish hat Pope person. Hi, baby, how you doing, little lady? How you doing? Sorry, I'm distracted. She's cute. Anyway, so again, you may be getting closer to it, but remember, the whole point of this is I want to highlight in like a 3-part series the 3 main ways that I believe, and there's hinted at in various other ideas and other people come up theories for, that giants are around today, or shall we say survived or were around for the whole David and Goliath thing, and if some of his mighty men killed some giants, and I would argue some of them are around, but you just haven't seen them, and the whole Wendigo thing and all the rest, right? We mentioned spiritual, all the rest, right? A bunch of them die and they stick around as demons, but blah, 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 blah. Physical living ones. And if we can make all these connections, I think we can make some connections to our modern day, too. Because what's the thing that's always in Hollywood and rumored and confirmed, if you look into the conspiracies enough, that government and rich people do when they're preparing for a catalysm, for a global destruction, or all the rest, if you will. What do? They build a bunker underground. Industrial.
I don't even know.
And it's all throughout. Like, they've been constantly talking about, oh my god. It's also interesting.
Oh, that's true.
Yes, thank you for... Yes, my wife is wiping her nose on my shirt. It happens sometimes, men. But when you're washing that. Anyway. Right. We have this concept through a lot of Hollywood and whatnot, and they like to share stories. They like to seed ideas into the public a lot for various reasons that I don't understand all of them, but they definitely like to do it. Some of it's plausible deniability. I brought that up before. If you see it on TV or you read it on the internet in like a fictional format, if you try to, and you see it in real life, people are just going to assume that you're making up a story and basing it off that movie they saw, right? Pretty simple trick. It makes a lot of sense. So, in this case, right, we have this concept that elites, rich people, that there's a fiery, usually what's like a meteoroid or something, burns the whole world, flames everywhere.
If dinosaurs come out and burn the earth.
Sure. And how do the rich people survive? They survive underground and superstructures. Generally, though, they survive underground. And, it's interesting. The Hopi aren't the only tribe or group of people that have this concept of multiple cataclysms and then survivors from them. And it hit me. What's one way that you could survive a massive flood consuming the whole earth? If you were in an underground, sealed bunker. My wife just got spat up on. Oh no.
It's behind you.
Okay, everyone. It's gonna get loud here for a second. I hope you don't mind. That's a cat, not a...
It's further back behind the ukulele.
Oh my god. That's loud. I reach for a paper towel and I get a cat. That's not what I wanted. Here, cat, let me wipe you off on this. Okay, so here's where we get...
Wipe my hands on your shirt.
And here's that speculation, right? Is you can see through their language these days and their word spells, and they're wanting to make something reality, right? Like, just think about, like, in all those gyms and all that stuff. What are they do? Like, perceive your goal, do it, strive for it. What are they doing? They're doing... What are they? Word spells. Whether they realize it or not, they're kind of channeling witchcraft in a lot of ways. Not sorcery, but witchcraft. Because
it is how every time Amazon Prime does that, it's always a black one.
Yes, it does. And I'm not saying every time you visualize a goal, you're doing witchcraft. Stop it. Get some help. The point is... it can easily translate to that. And oh no, the heater just turned on. That's going to be so loud on this recording.
Not like I've been flipping pages through my music.
Oh my gosh. You guys are here for such professional podcast work. Oh.
But we started off talking about poop, and then where do we end up? In tunnels. It's called a sewer.
No, I'm not going to bring up the sewer monsters. No.
The last one.
Actually, I was looking up a
Don't
video
you?
today.
Why did I say that? No.
But it was no sewer monsters. It was just the alligator thing again. I'm like, oh come on, like that's that crazy to believe? Of course, there's some alligators down there. Big deal. And you say, oh, but how would they survive in the winter in the northern cities? Well, the answer is the sewers stay warm year round. Why do you think the sewers don't freeze? There's a lot of methane and stuff that keeps it warm. Awkward. Your poop keeps it warm. Oh. Winter long. Anyway.
You get on my case.
You're the one that brought up the poop sewers. Anyway. Anyway. If we go from a biblical context a little bit too, we can establish that the Bible refers to Sheol as a physical place where things can be and go. Yes, little lady. And so it kind of stands to reason that if things can go there, people could get stuck there too. And it seems like the Hopi are hinting at the idea that they joined with a group of Anunnaki or fallen angels or the descendants of giants or giants themselves who were essentially hiding underground in bunkers waiting out the flood. And I propose that some of them did wait out the flood in this way and were able to get back up onto the earth and cause all kinds of problems again. That's interesting. I'm not saying this is a for sure thing. There are other ways in the Bible itself that are mentioned on how little lady that she gets like this when I start ranting. She's like, I want to join in with Dad. But how they could have done it, how that happens, we'll get into that. I mean, there's some crazy stories like in the Book of Giants. Be careful when you read some of these works because you can get the attention of weird stuff sometimes. But in that one, King Og claims that he survived by being on top of the ark and eating birds. Could whether or not King Og actually wrote those words or whatever, I don't know. I can't give you an answer to that one. But it's an interesting concept. And if you don't know, King Og is a giant in the Bible. Yes, certain texts are trying, professional archaeologist types are like, he wasn't actually a giant. They only ever described how big his bed was. And your first answer is, well, why did they include the size of his bed if they weren't referring to his size? And they'll come up with some hubble-jubble random answer.
His horse.
And I still say he was a giant because they seem to hint that he was a giant. Anyway. Oh my gosh, cat. C-A-T, cat. Anyway. So. All these kind of references. Well, oh my gosh, there's a cat on my table. Okay.
I did not throw the cat.
Yes, you did. He's coming with me now. He's my gato. So. But, again, through various different cultural references and connections to the Bible and themes in the Bible and the Bible itself, I postulate that A, some of the original freaks from who God was trying to kill with the flood for their sins and all the rest, survived underground and then came back up. This also kind of has an interesting idea that there's various signs throughout archaeology that and I'm not saying this is a 100% thing, but there's various signs that ancient humanity, like pre-flood, had technology. Like actual technology. And a lot of people say, well, where's all the plastic? Look, all that stuff, given thousands of years, goes away. Like a skyscraper, there'd be nothing left of a skyscraper after 1,000 years. It's my cat. You can't have it. Fine, here's a cat. Oh, she wants the cat. That's fair. Oh, you guys can't see it, but it's so cute. My little baby's attacking the gato. Oh man, I'm gonna have to cut some of this out. So, when we so it's kind of an interesting theory. And by the way, guys, Aristotle said something very profound, and it's basically like, I'm going to butcher it horribly, but it's like an intelligent man the difference between him is him and a normal man is his ability to think about a topic, an idea, and not just believe it to be true. If that makes sense, right? I may be wrong about this. This is an interesting idea to bring up. And one of the concepts behind it, too, is what if the Hopi are right about something? The funny thing about the Bible, and especially Genesis' account, is we know a lot of it kind of skips time, goes all over the place, and does weird things. What if we really are not in the first creation? We already know there was a pre-flood creation. So in that sense, there was a creation before that. How many times has God had to start over and destroy the world? It's kind of an interesting question. The Bible,
that it hints that's going to happen again when there's a new heaven and new earth.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Hints that it could restart again. Now, I'm not being all Hindu on you. Don't worry. I'm not going to suggest that you're going to reincarnate and all that crap. But, yeah. But it's interesting that we have these cataclysmic events, and God says, you may think, oh, but he said that he won't destroy the world again. No, he says he won't do it with water again. And what again do we see all the movies and stuff, all the elites worried about? Are they scared about floods? No, they're scared about fire from the sky, from heaven, God cleansing them. And how do they always plan on escaping? Underground in bunkers. You say, oh, sometimes it's nukes. Yeah, but it's essentially fire from the sky. But let's not kid around here. Yes. And so, it makes me wonder if they've done this before. If they've hidden from God's wrath before. Now, obviously, at some point, I'm just going to keep going, but at some point, God's going to get the better of this and he's going to end it. And we would say at the end of Revelation. But remember how prophecy works. For all we know, what God's talking about with Revelations is actually, boom, 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 down the line after several cycles. I would say, though, we're probably at the end of a cycle because of the whole Jesus Christ thing and breaking the devil's power on earth. It seems like we're coming to a head where we wouldn't go through another death cycle, right? And, you know, a lot of younger Christians and people might think, well, what's ever excuse of, excuse me while I grab my baby, of God to destroy the world? My answer is, have you seen Epstein Island? Now, imagine Epstein Island, but the entire world, and no one really fighting it. Yeah. In that situation, there would be so much evil that the only way to deal with it would be to cleanse it. And, yeah, I'll pause it. Oh, and we're back again. Sorry about that. Mrs. Grizzly's got to go take care of the little Grizzly. Life just comes at you fast sometimes, and a baby wakes up when a baby wakes up. Where was I in all this madness, right? Right. Concept of maybe even there have been multiple worlds or creations before this that got destroyed, and then through underground bunkers and other means, the evil watchers and their descendants always come back to corrupt the new world, and the devil's there and all the rest doing all their things. Nasty business. It's interesting whether or not that's true, or if it's just one flood and all the rest. You may say, it's not in the Bible. Well, we don't necessarily need to know about it either. Like, if you look at the Bible and how it's set up, it could be interpreted to be open-ended enough to say, this is just the one we heard about. This is just the last one, the flood. Right? But, again, as I brought up, with Jesus Christ coming on this cycle, or whatever you want to call it, this repeat, it would seem to hint that this is the last one because the devil's power has been broken. The Watcher's power has been broken. And thus, this should be the last one. But, you know, who knows? But regardless of all that theory crafting, if you will, the Bible and most cultures, including the Hopi, believe in global cataclysms, at least one, that happen. And it's interesting, the Hopi aren't the only ones that believe they came from an underground hiding place or came from underground. It wasn't the Apache. Who were I forget which tribe they were, and I'm kicking myself for not writing them down. There's another tribe that thinks they were tricked by some sun god to come up to the surface, and a lot like with the situation with Adam and Eve coming out of the garden, they have this whole moment of, wow, we were tricked, this is horrible, now we have to work for our food and all this stuff. Like, they came out of some sort of underground, pristine garden situation, and then they got put up onto the surface and realized they had to really work for their food. Interesting connections and stuff flowing through cultures that had no interaction and really should have had a lot different ideas about this stuff. But when we look at it all the more, and I'm missing my wife, man. She does a lot of the jokes. You'll have to forgive me, though. You'll stick with it. This might be a bit of a shorter episode, which sucks because it is kind of an interesting and in-depth topic and plenty of ideas and blah, blah, blah. We connect back to the Wendigo again, right? So, well, I'm bringing up the Wendigo, all the rest. Well, again, if we look at Native Americans and a lot of their cultures, like, you can't just put them all in the one basket. But if you look at the huge spectrum of them, and a lot of their themes, a lot of what they believe, and the different flavors, like the more Mexican ones or the more kind of Inca ones, far south, and then you have the more Eskimo types in the really far north, and then they got the Wendigo stuff in the really kind of mid-north Minnesota up there, and then you have these Hopi Indians in the desert and all the rest, right? It's interesting what kind of comes out of a lot of these cultures, particularly when it comes to witchcraft, demon stuff, like with the giants and the cannibalistic giants and the Wendigo and all the rest. How they feel connected to these underground beings, like the ant people, if you will, or again demonic type giants and all the rest. It's like it feels like they all have a similar source. And remember, in the Book of Enoch and in the Bible as well on this one, I think it references it briefly, but I'm going to take that back. In the Book of Enoch, for sure, it talks about how the fallen watchers teach mankind about sorcery and magic and that kind of stuff, and thus you have your first magicians and your shamans and thus skinwalkers and witches like that in the Native American stuff, right? It's fascinating to think of it like that. You have all the different points. You have the underground stuff referencing the watchers imprisoned underground. You have the giants, right? The descendants of the fallen watchers. You have references to stars and all this, the clouds and stuff, and ancient cataclysms that the Hopi people had to hide from, and all the rest. All coming together in these themes and cultures that had supposedly no connection to the Hebrew Bible and the Christianity and all the rest that came later. Yet we have so many similar themes, similar concepts, all spewing up and coming forth. Even kind of the idea of almost like crossroad demons. The Blackfoot Indians, for example. Was it the Blackfoot? Yes, the Blackfoot Indians had this concept, this idea that a warrior could commune with spirits out in the woods. Like they would meditate on a rock, and they would meditate, and the spirit would come forward. And if they provided the right kind of sacrifice, usually some kind of human sacrifice, they were given some kind of power by the spirit or whatever, the demon, as I would call it, or the fallen watcher, or the entity, whatever it may be. And that, again, that's like crossroad demon, right? You give them up something, you sacrifice something to it. Also with like the altars and stuff in Babylon and all the rest, and they give you immense power in return, right? It's curious to see these concepts kind of popping up in these cultures that don't have any nominal ties in history to the Bible and to the civilizations talked about in the Bible and the whole region. Especially that whole Anunnaki thing. That's really fascinating. Now, the one thing about that maybe being a stretch that I should bring up is the article didn't make it clear if the Hopi referred to the ant people as ant friends or not. I mean, it's an extrapolation that makes sense that they refer to them as friends. So Anunnaki, sure, right? And it certainly is a bit of a coincidence, if it is one, that you have the same word pattern going on there. And of course, right, the bug-eyed and the extended heads and all the rest. But it is still, could be a stretch. So I didn't want to make it, I wanted to put it all out on the table for you guys. Excuse me, sorry. Trying to think if there was anything more I needed to say before I continue. No. Now I just miss my wife. But it was fun, and I'm glad that we were bringing this up. Well, we might be a little spotty with the next episodes because we are most likely going to be moving in the next few weeks, but we'll do our best to keep up with them. It shouldn't be too much of an issue, but there might be mixed audio issues, more than normal, and that's something to remember. But, oh yeah, I wanted to say this before we ended. Just like with the Dogman references, and remember all those references to like Anubis with Dogman and all the rest, right? If these cryptids and stuff exist, then what they are twisted descendants of these watchers. And we have plenty of establishment in Native American lore, in their types of witchcraft and magic, that witchcraft magic, how they said they got their technology and all the rest, and undergrounds of stars, right? Everything I brought up, giants, demonic giants, all the rest, that the Anunnaki or whatever Fallen Watchers or Fallen Watcher descendants were in the Americas and were having a field day with the native peoples there. It's interesting to even wonder, like in the Hopi's case, it almost sounds like they were these Ant people's slaves for a while, and they released, and they kind of crafted this narrative to keep themselves like worshiping. That's a bit of a stretch, but you get my point. And they're not the only native culture that claims, as I brought up, the other tribe that got tricked to come to the surface and all the rest. Much more of a negative story there. They're not the only ones that claim that they came from underground, and that is really just a fascinating concept. Another theory that people have that again connects back to the Bible is the idea that the Garden of Eden is actually underground, which kind of makes sense. It's kind of weird that the angel just has to stand at the gate of the garden and no one can get to it, and why we can't find it and all the rest. And yes, God could spiritually be hiding it from us, 100%. I won't say it can't happen, but the idea that it's underground makes a lot of sense, since the angel being just placed at the front, the entrance would stop all movement into the Garden of Eden. And again, if the Garden of Eden is underground, these Indians, the various Indian tribes, thinking that they came from underground lush garden situations is a very fascinating connection as well. But I leave that with you. This is one of, I say 3-part, it might be more parts, but one of the proposals that I have for why there are giants after the flood. In this case, they hid bunkers underground, took slaves with them like the Hopi, and then resurfaced after the flood waters receded and continued to do their monstrous deeds. Some people might consider that blasphemous, like, how could God's wrath not take them all out? And my answer is, they were giants afterwards, so some of them survived somehow. That's the Bible speaking, not me, right? No weird theories there. The Bible makes it pretty clear that Goliath was a giant, Nephilim, and all the rest. So, I'm going to leave that one there. You guys let me know what you think. Oh, I'll leave a side parting shot that I forgot to include earlier. And this idea is that the Ark was like technologically advanced. The concept was, and I really like this idea, who knows what to believe or what's true about it, but the idea is that the Ark was actually a complex machine that had the DNA essence of all the animals in it. That's why it had 1 and 1 and all the rest, and could hold all the animals on the earth inside its databanks, because it was essentially like a computer holding DNA, and then it cloned the animals at the end and brought them all back. A really interesting idea. And again, if there was all this technology and underground bunkers that the evil Anunnaki and other things were hiding out in, but I'd say most of the Anunnaki were probably just, in Sheol, captured, brought down. And on a side note, when it talks about Jesus Christ going down taking the key of Hades and all the rest, it's basically hinting, and I forget if I don't think it's in the Bible anywhere, but this strong church tradition that what Jesus did was he went down to Hades and basically told all the watchers in their prisons that they're screwed. We won. Sayonara. I like that one. Also, there's a church tradition that he goes down and he saves all the souls that, all the good souls that had died before he died on the cross, which is an interesting, the ones that deserve saving, like Adam's soul and all this other stuff. Cool church doctrine. I don't know if it's church doctrine these days, but you get the point. Anyway, Jesus Christ playing Doom Guy aside, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. It was a good time. I'm going to play the outro here and go help my wife with the baby. Sorry about the shorter episode and all the crazy stuff going on, but that's life. Hope you enjoyed it. See you guys next time. Peace. All right. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Grizzly Files. If you want to follow us, find Patreons and all the rest, there's an easy website you can go to. We will leave a link in the description. It is robinpgrizzlyfiles.blogspot.com. Go there. It has everything, all the links listed for anything you want. But we have a number of different things you'd be interested in. You can follow us on Twitter at r.p.grizzly, on Gab at rpgrizzly1, and finally Social Galactic rpgrizzly. Now, we have a number of written things if you want to get into that. We have a kid's book out. This one's called David and the Three Bears. You're better off finding it on Amazon under my pen name, RP Grizzly, or Robin P. Grizzly. It'll teach you, it's teaching your kids not to steal and to trust God in a fun little format. Finally, I have 4 different novels that I'm releasing episodically on arthaven.com through text, just little text episodes, about 1,000 words apiece. And those are The Chronicles of the Adventure, Hunting, and Liquidation Committee, which releases every Saturday. We have Wolfram the Night Avenger, which releases every Friday, and The Tunnels of Woe, which releases every Wednesday, which includes this show, The Grizzly Files, which releases every Wednesday, and finally, The Diary of a Post-War Pirate, which releases every Monday. There might be some brief pauses as I get caught up on writing, but there they are. They're fun, they're a good time, they span a whole bunch of different genres. I highly recommend them, obviously because I wrote them, but you'll enjoy them. Do it. Do all that stuff. Like, subscribe, share. There's a Patreon. You can go through the website to get to it. You can do Give, Send, Go if you don't like Patreon. Alright. This is RP Grizzly signing off.